Okay, welcome back. It is time to talk about the 2021 Super Bowl champions, Los Angeles Rams, and their fantasy players in the Dynasty landscape and some redraft values, if I can remember them, but mostly Dynasty. So let's start with the quarterback room. Their terrible quarterback room, led by Matthew Stafford and Stetson Bennett. Okay, so they did sign Brett Ripien as the third quarterback, but I don't think he's that much of a dynasty asset. Maybe if he starts, but it's looking like Stetson Bennett's team. If unfortunately, if Stafford gets hurt again, but yeah, this is gonna be bad. I don't know what the Rams are doing in the grand scheme of things, because Stafford should have retired. He's probably gonna retire this year. That's why his valuation for dynasties a late second. I would not pay more than a late second, to be honest, especially because it's most likely going to be a 1 year rental. Don't get me wrong, he can still produce like a high-end QB1 season because of his pedigree with Cooper Kupp, Tyler Higbee, assuming they all stay healthy. You can get to QB1 status, but that's it. You're paying, it's too much variance to pay more than a late second. And there's a big chance he might get hurt again because their line is not great. They did add a couple pieces in the draft, but it's the draft. They might take a while to develop because they were day 2 plus picks. And they traded their first for Stafford, which ended up being like the 106 or something. Anyways, yeah, Stafford's a good contender buy if you get him for a late second and you need a QB2. But if he's just gonna be your QB3 and gonna sit on your bench, I'd rather not buy him. And if you still haven't done your rookie draft and Stetson Bennett is available late third in Superflex, definitely worth the gamble, knowing Stafford's injury history and Stetson's success in college. That's a back-to-back NCAA champion right there. But anyways, this is not a good quarterback room that has a bright future in the league. Stafford's gonna retire. Stetson, I don't project more than a backup. He'll definitely get a few starts this year, probably. Hope not, but hey. But anyways, that's it for the quarterback room. Let's move on to the wide receiver room, which is their best weapons, I think, led by Cooper Kupp and only by Cooper Kupp. This is how terrible this team is. They're so top heavy and the rest of the room is just straight garbage, especially quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, running backs. Like, their depth is not good, and their defense is even worse because it's just Aaron Donald. Everybody decent has already left from their championship team. But anyway, let's talk about Cooper Kupp. He's still an elite wide receiver. He was still last year until he got hurt. And he's pretty much quarterback proof. So even if Stafford does get hurt, he can still produce, back end wide receiver one season. But if Stafford is healthy, Cooper Kupp is healthy, I don't see how he can't get top 5 overall wide receiver. So if you're a contender, like me, I bought him for 3 seconds in one league. So I traded a 201, like a 205, and like a future second for Cooper Kupp to a rebuilding team. So hopefully that works out for me. I do have him in a couple league where I won the championship last year, despite a cup not being there for me. So hopefully stays healthy and I can win back to back in those leagues. And let's see the rest of this room. Next is Van Jefferson. He should be the next man up. Whenever he was healthy, he showed promise. But that's the problem. He's never healthy. I don't think he's played a full season in his career yet. He's shown flashes. He was fairly old as a prospect. I think he was like an older 23. But if he gets it together and stay healthy, he should be the wide receiver too in this offense. And if Stafford stays healthy along the way also, he could flirt with, back end wide receiver 2, early wide receiver 3 production. And finally, let's look at the rest of this wide receiver room. There's a lot of promise with Puka Nacua during the offseason. I know he didn't get decent draft capital, but he did get buzz. He got good size. He did produce in college and he had some good metrics. So he should be the favorite to win the wide receiver 3 role. He can even overtake Van Jefferson if he gets hurt again. And ever since after the rookie draft, his ADP's been rising steadily. I remember early rookie draft season, he was like a 4th round pick. Now he's getting like mid-3rd value, which is fine. It's not a ridiculous price, but he was I think a 5th round pick, so those normally never pan out. But he does have some open room to get opportunities here. And next is Marcus Robinson, wide receiver 1 for the Ravens last year. Played well enough. He did decent in a low passing offense, so with his experience, I wouldn't be surprised if he does get that wide receiver 2 role, just because Van Jefferson hasn't stayed healthy and he missed like half games. Not good for his experience in the league. And then Skoranek is basically a fullback, like a block. He's a pretty good blocking wide receiver, but he's had opportunities and he's shown like little bits of flashes, but I don't think he'll ever be what he was last year. I think that was his peak as a player. He's a jack of all trades, but they mostly use him for run blocking and I guess a fullback in some snaps. And finally, Tutu Atwell. Alright, so this guy drafted in the 2nd round. Too small for the league. That's why I stay away from these size for wide receivers, because although they can produce, there's a big chance, there's just too much of an injury risk, historically speaking. These type of wide receivers can't normally play a full season, so I normally stay away. I mean, there's exceptions, but for the most part, they never become fantasy relevant. So yeah, let's move on to the running back room, led by RB1 Cam Akers, who was pretty great at the end of the season after a pretty weird season last year. So he got benched and he was rumored to be cut, rumored to be traded. There was reports that says he was definitely getting traded, and then eventually he came back to the team. They cut, I forget his name, Henderson, surprisingly, even though that dude was getting snapped as RB1 during the season. So it was a weird running back room last year. But eventually Akers took over, produced pretty well at the end of the season. Looks like, his Achilles injury he's fully recovered from. Hopefully it stays that way. He was an exciting player before that. And early in the season last year, and even in the Super Bowl, he looked terrible. Like, no one in the NFL has ever come back from an Achilles and reduce good enough. I guess you could count Deonta Foreman, but Akers, I guess, the next breed. So he's projected to have a, mid RB2 season. Potentially could climb up to RB1 if, he stays healthy and that offense starts clicking. But with the injury history, the fact that it's his last year, and that weird stuff that happened with him last year with the Rams FO, most I would pay is an early second. But I would be trying to buy for a mid-second right now if I was a contender. He definitely owns this backfield by himself. They did bring Zach Evans, but not a huge draft capital, 6th round. Although he was an elite prospect, high school prospect coming into college, but he didn't produce, didn't earn that pedigree. Unfortunately, fell to the 6th round. I mean, he was getting 2nd round buzz before last college season, but yeah, he has that. I don't think a lot of people are hyping him up because you know how volatile Cam Akers' career has been. They're projecting Zach to eventually take over, which is possible, but I don't see it. It's possible, but I don't see it. I mean, he's going mid-late thirds. It's not like it's a ridiculous price, but still. Yeah, Akers is a good value for contenders right now. It's in that dead zone range, but mid-second is not breaking the bank. So let's move on to the rest of the running back room, led by Kyren Williams. So he got plenty of camp hype last year. Unfortunately, he got hurt for the season, and then it took him a while to acclimate to the game. He actually got outplayed by some undrafted guy named Ronnie Rivers, but he's fully healthy now. He's gonna get a whole training camp again, and essentially the 3rd down role is wide open for him to take. So it's a good stash. They're gonna be behind a lot because their defense only like by Aaron Donald, so he might get a lot of PPR points. So if he's available through waivers, definitely worth a speculative add till the season starts. And finally, they brought back Sony Michel, who they traded for during their Super Bowl season. Used him sparingly. Let him walk through free agency. He went to the Chargers. Had a couple decent games. They let him walk. And then he was a late addition during free agency. But at this point, I would trust Sony Michel more than Zach Evans. I know Evans still has potential. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. So that's it. Definitely your contender looking to buy Cam Akers. So let's move on to their tight end room, which is not great. It's top heavy, led by Tyler Higbee, but it's not an elite tight end. He's that fringe tight end 1 production who's touchdown dependent, which is essentially every single tight end outside of the top 10. But before he got hurt last year, he was having a great season because the departure of Robert Woods and the Allen Robinson project didn't work out. This dude getting the 2nd most targets after Cup. So if you play in a tight end premium league, definitely good to have as a contender. You could probably get him for a mid-3rd, early 3rd if you really want him. On tight end premium, late 3rd. So I did see him get traded in one league, two tight end, 2 point premium tight end leagues for a late second, which is understandable. And to round out the tight end room, we got Bryson Hopkins, who actually played a lot in their Super Bowl win. He was the last tight end remaining that time. And he actually had decent stat line. I think he had 3 or 4 catches. And was instrumental in a couple drives. I actually stashed him after, like, during his rookie year, because he had a good size profile. He was a 4th-round pick. He was just buried behind Higbee. But it's available in essentially all my leagues, so. But he's on my watch list just in case Higbee gets hurt again. And also Hunter Long, the prize trade asset they got from the Dolphins in exchange of Jalen Ramsey. That was a weird trade. Essentially gave him for free. So I guess the Rams see something in Hunter Long. I don't know. Probably not, but if you get trades for Ramsey, he should be worth something, right? But literally, he hasn't done anything since he got drafted 2 years ago. Pretty athletic tight end, but no NFL tape, so I can't comment on that. And finally, their rookie tight end Davis Allen, just a large dude who never really got used a lot in Clemson. He got the frame, he got decent hands, but just wasn't used. Probably gonna use him mostly as a blocker. So that's it for the tight end room and for the Los Angeles Rams. This team is not gonna be good. So I don't know what the FO trying to do here, bringing back Stafford. I know there's a report that they try to trade him. Yeah, I don't know. Stafford, Cup, and Donald. I guess Akers. And then everyone else is just straight trash. So yeah, I wouldn't want to invest too much of Rams players this season. So for the next episode, we'll be talking about the Indianapolis Colts and their new shiny quarterback, Gardner Minshew. Just kidding. It's Anthony Richardson. All right. Peace.